Now this is going to be a little bit slow, I suspect, because it's going to be bandwidth intensive. And so I'm going to bring the desktop. I was going to everything working great now. Okay, so ladies and gents, I'm going to talk about my iPad, or we're going to talk about my iPad, or you're going to grill me about my iPad, which has 1,400 apps on it now. I want the prize. If there's a cut, I want the prize. I haven't found anybody else yet. So I just want to check. I'm in North Thailand, so connectivity is a bit iffy. I'm pleased it's done this though now. Yep, 1,400 apps, Peggy, and I know everyone intimately. Liar. Okay, and we're going to look at a few of these. I want to check first, though, because the connectivity is so bad in North Thailand here. I'm in Chiang Mai, an hour's flight north of Bangkok. Can you just, in chat, see if you can see my iPad on your screen? A yes or a no will do in chat. Do a Y or an N if you can see my home screen. In fact, it's my home screen. Brilliant. Now, I was going to ask you then if you can hear my cat meowing, but never mind. Okay, so I'm going to go in a couple of directions, and then after that we can talk about other stuff. And thanks for the invitation, and like all good guests, what I did when you invited me to do this is I went to the internet to check you out. And let's just see what I found. Now I've just clicked on the bottom right-hand corner of my apps bar, and actually you'll notice that there's actually a folder in that bottom row of apps. A lot of people, I think, don't realize that that apps bar along the bottom can actually hold folders as well. I remember I found that out not many months ago after having used the thing for 2 or more years. And I'm going to launch an app there. And I know that some people in here know this app already. There's an app there which is the second row down, the 1, 2, 3, fourth one along, called Photo Table. And Photo Table is not free, but let me launch that. I'm aware there'll be lag here, and what I'm seeing is very smooth actions will not be, Photo Table will not be, the smooth actions will not be smooth on your machines. And I'll try and manage that by simply slowing down a little bit. Now, on the top left-hand corner, there's a button that says Albums, and I'm going to look at the albums I have, and one of them is says Anne. I'm going to have to let my cat out. Hang on 1 second. Okay, out you go. Cat stops play. Right, and let's check. Let me check these. Now, it was really weird that when... okay, let me just move this a little bit. And then let it load for you. For some reason, that's not full screen. I don't know why. But it was actually quite an enlightening experience Googling Anne to see where her pictures were. And it's strange. I don't know why, but this picture, and I think this is Central Railway Station or something like that in New York. For some reason, Anne, I don't know why, but your picture was there. Have you any idea why? Feel free to use the microphone, because I'm going to quiz you on a couple of these pictures. Anne, why are you in Grand Central Station? Any idea?
Well, I did go to New York for a conference in July, and that's perhaps what I wish I was thinking, but perhaps I can retire now and just live that luxurious life.
Okay, I got half a dozen pictures off the internet. It was really interesting. Here's another one. This is in Sydney, apparently, and again, in Sydney, why are they putting up a big picture of you in Sydney? I've no idea. I'm not going to ask you about that. There's a whole load of questions here. Here's a nice one. Obviously, you have an artistic side to you. Who's this artist that does this style of art? Come on, guys and girls. Who's the artist that? As soon as somebody says it, I'll go, yes, I knew that. No, these aren't Warhol, brilliant, thanks very much. No, they're not created with Photo Table. Photo Table is just a way of displaying the images. I'll tell you how I made them afterwards. Actually, I think that looks brilliant. You should put that in your CV, Anne. Here's another one. Now, little did you know about Anne. She's down in Australia. She lives in the outback somewhere where there's only about 4 people in the town. And she's on the copy of Vogue, Australian Vogue. That's quite amazing. And I'll read it for you because you might not be able to read it. It says, hot fashion moments. Now, I'd love to quiz Anne now about what her hot fashion moments are in the outback of Australia.
Well, Chris, I wear a dry as a bone, I wear Blundstone boots, and I wear old pads on the farm so I don't get dirty. But the students would love it, wouldn't they, Anita?
Okay, what other ones did I get? Were there some more somewhere? Was that it? Were they all of them? I thought there was. No, that's it. That's all I did. I just did those 4. Now I'm displaying these. I bet your screens went crazy there as I whizzed through them on my machine. Your screens didn't keep up. But I made those in just a matter of minutes, and it was a company that I've been using for 6 years called PhotoFunia. And I think PhotoFunia, oh thanks Simon, 6 seconds, that's not bad I guess, as we're thousands of miles apart. PhotoFunia, and I did all of those using the PhotoFunia app, which I think is free. And all you have to do is you have to have the images in your photo stream somewhere, or you can actually take the images with your camera. So for students to do, I think it's on an iPhone as well. Oh, and actually, I asked somebody to check this yesterday at a meeting I was at. There is an Android version of PhotoFunia as well. I actually have been using the website, it must be for 6-8 years, maybe even longer. So even if you don't have a mobile app, a mobile device, Android or iOS, you can still have your kids go to photofunia.com and create images like that. Now, I think that all sounds very simple, and it is very simple, and sometimes it's good to, the KISS principle, keep it simple. I can't remember what the other S stands for. Keeping it simple. These could be used for all sorts of things, because just one image like that, there's an option of putting an image on a bottle of wine, or on a poster in Broadway up in bright lights. As a topic for discussion for the kids, they choose one, they make it, and they write a story to go with it. It's good for that. Actually, I also think that something like PhotoFunia, which creates these types of images, is a good focus if you were doing a topic with the kids on can you trust the internet? Because pretty obviously, you could make some good gifts as well. I put some of these together for a session I'm doing in Singapore next week. And there's one option, actually there's some options, I didn't do it for Peggy, for Anne rather, I didn't do it for Anne, but there's some options where you can just put the face on, say a Harley motorbike rider or a bodybuilder, and for my sessions next week, I've actually put one of the staff's faces on this hunky bodybuilder who's wearing just a thin sort of thong, not an Australian thong, a British thong, and I'm actually wondering whether I dare use it because of cultural things, but but it's an easy thing, low learning curve, and there's an app which I think is free. Photo table, which I've just been using, is there's the app, and it's not. Oh, if you notice, that says Photo Table Lite. Yeah, absolutely right, Peggy. Not the thongs that you wear. Well, I wouldn't wear it, but ladies would wear round. Well, no, I'm not going that way. Stop. You notice on the screen now it says Photo Table. There's a Photo Table Lite, which is free. And earlier on in chat, and I've lost it now, I think somebody highlighted it was $4.99. That's quite expensive. Photo Table does some other things. It actually allows you to do a slideshow of them with music playing, and you just choose music. Wow, $10.49 in Australia. I guess it's because the app's got further to go to get down there. So you can actually, let's say you're doing an assembly, and you had lots of images that were going to be shown. You could throw them all into Photo Table, choose some music, and then it will, on the table, it will just bring them forward and drop them off. And I think the greatest number of images I've had is up to about 50, and that's it. Oh, there's my last slide in this particular group. Just a reminder that I am watching chat, and I'm hoping to learn as I'm sharing. This is our new role, without any shadow of a doubt, is we're all in this together. The teacher, I know guys, the people in this room, many of you I know already, and I don't look at my feet. Oh, I've got thongs on. That was a coincidence, not deliberate. And that's my avatar out of Second Life. But we're in this as a learning experience together, and I show this slide a lot of the times when I'm doing presentations. I think one of the most difficult things for teachers to do, certainly in Asia, I don't know about Australia, but certainly in Asia, one of the most difficult things for a teacher to do, I found, is to stand up at the front and say, I don't know. And I'm sorry, boys and girls, but if you're not able to say that, you're going to have a nervous breakdown, because, as you all know in here already, we're in the age of, I don't know. Great question. Let's find out together. Right, let's move on. I want to talk about music. Well, okay. I'm just looking. Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat. I want to go to music now. Does anybody here use the music player Pandora? I'm watching chat. Dottie, where do you live? Are you in the States or? Okay, that explains it. Let me launch Pandora on my iPad, and you watch what happens. Actually, I'm going to see if Siri will launch it. So I'm going to press there's only one button on the front. It's not a mind-blowing experience. I'm going to press the one button, which brings up Siri. Launch Pandora. Okay, so that's it. It launched Pandora because it's an app on there. Now, Americans, why did you use the word launch for launching apps on your iPad? Honestly, why couldn't you have just said open or start? It's launch. I use TuneIn Radio, but Pandora, actually TuneIn Radio. That's a great. I'm glad you mentioned that. TuneIn is my favorite radio app without any shadow of a doubt. The thing with Pandora though is Pandora allows, it suggests music to you. So I use Pandora as almost an, what's the word I'd use, like exploratory, having music suggested to me that I wouldn't normally listen to because I'm still in the age of Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones. Now, if you notice there, it says, it might be too small for you to see, so I'll read it. It says, sorry, Pandora is not available in this country or in Thailand. So Pandora, because of intellectual property considerations, copyright considerations, they're only allowed to play in the States. And I'm not sure if Joe, you're in the UK, right? Do you know if you can get Pandora in the UK? Sorry, I woke Joe up. Oh, here we go. Joe, right. Joe Dale, by the way, if you want anybody to talk to anybody about mobile devices and ESL, he's Mr. ESL, English as a second language. So that's interesting. So you can't do it in this country. Okay, I'm going to show you something now where I can. I'm just going to say, okay. Now I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to explain afterwards how this worked. Oh yeah, modern foreign languages. Sorry, Joe. You're right. MFL. Okay, I'm going to go to settings. I nearly said settings. That was with an E, not an I. If you notice down the left-hand side in my settings, there's a button which says VPN, which is short for Virtual Private Network. So I'm going to touch that. And this has come up. Now, it won't be on your machine unless you've actually set it up. But you can see there at the top it says VPN off, and then down the screen it says Australia, Hong Kong, London, Manchester, New York, Paris. I've got the San Francisco one ticked, and I'm going to click on. And what it's now doing is my iPad is now connected to a computer in San Francisco, and the message that's come up, it says VPN connection, welcome, enjoy your encryption. Now, not only is it connected to this computer in San Francisco, it's encrypting the connection between my iPad in Thailand and the San Francisco machine. So if somebody, some hacker tried to get in, it would all be messed up encrypted because somehow, I have no idea how, but somehow when the data leaves my iPad, it's encrypted with a password that I don't know. And when it gets to the States, it's unencrypted by another password in the States. So let me go OK. Now, let me go down to Pandora. I only hope... Right, I'm going to stop it playing. Oh, no, it's not playing. There it is. It's now working. Because what happens is it now thinks I'm actually in San Francisco. That wow, I've got Peggy George to say wow. Now to get Peggy George, the US guru of all stuff to do with electrons, is mind-blowing. So now it thinks I'm in the States. Now there are several advantages of this. One is, of course, I can play stuff that's blocked, that won't come out of the States. I'm playing Pandora. One of my favorite online television players is the BBC, UK BBC iPlayer. If you try and access that out of the UK, it says, sorry, only available for people in the UK. Of course, it's people in the UK that are paying their TV licenses for the services. So the Olympics were on. It would have been nice to have had the BBC iPlayer. So all I would do is go to the VPN, press on London or Manchester. Of course, there are servers in London and Manchester, and I'll tell you how to find these. And so it then looks like I'm in London. So then I can stream all of the BBC coverage from the Olympics live, which was actually amazing. It was amazing. Okay, let me switch off the VPN. The only downside with VPN is virtual private network is that it's a little bit slower than otherwise. Now, oh, and the other advantage I've not said, no, let me explain how VPN works first. Okay, let me close that. I'm going to my toolbox in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to, wow, there's so many apps on the iPad that allow you to draw on the iPad. And my favorite one today, it might be different tomorrow, is one at the very bottom of this called Sketch Time. Oh, in case I miss it, you see can you see the one next to it? It's called Slide Shark. Can you put a Y in there if you can actually see the Slide Shark app? I'll tell you how to get the VPN details. Great. Slide Shark, this is a quick throwaway one. We have a world in education now that is using PowerPoint. And I know PowerPoint gets a bad name quite often. But actually, I think PowerPoint's a brilliant program. If the PowerPoint presentations are CRAP, then it's probably how they were put together. That's not the fault of the program. I love PowerPoint. And it's sensible, if we're moving teachers along, that we start at a level that they're comfortable with, and nearly every teacher's been brainwashed with PowerPoint. Slide Shark, can you hear my cat? It's another cat. Slide Shark is my favorite app for displaying PowerPoints. The nice thing is that they have a website. You can put your PowerPoint presentations on the website, and then in the app Slide Shark here, it will say, do you want me to download some of them into the app? And the app's brilliant. If you're connected to a projector, what you see on your iPad, you see not only the PowerPoint slide, but you also have access to a timer, to the notes and everything on your iPad, but the people watching the screen just see the slide. Without any shadow of a doubt, Slide Shark is my favorite app if you're building on people's present knowledge of PowerPoint. It's a lovely intro. Anyway, but what I'm going to open up is Sketch Time. Here we go, Sketch Time. So I'm doing this on my iPad. Let's just see if it's working. There we go. You should see in the top left-hand corner a red squiggly line. Can you see that? Thanks, Peter. Okay, good. So let me just talk a little bit about VPN, Virtual Private Network. So you have your computer here. You can tell I was an artist in a different life. There's your laptop. And normally, you just connect to the internet through a Wi-Fi or a LAN, local area network, and you just go out, and then you find information, and it comes back. Sometimes, if you're in a school, then when you connect to the school network, you go through a firewall. And the firewall says, sorry, we're not going to let you connect to Facebook or YouTube or other things. So sometimes stuff will not come back. Now, if you connect using VPN, then what you need to know, and I will tell you how to find this out, you need to know about another computer somewhere in the world. And let's say it's in London. And what happens when you connect, and this is what happened when I press those buttons, what happens when you connect is it creates what they call a secure tunnel. I wish I could write nice and smoothly on an iPad screen. And what is usually interesting is that tunnel goes straight through the school's firewall. And so you could go there to that machine in London and say, I want to connect to Facebook. And then what happens is that this machine goes out, connects to Facebook, sends the page back, it does it very quickly of course, and then sends it back to you through this tunnel. And that means that the school firewall often is completely negated. Now, I suspect that many kids in schools now are using this already, which is really weird because as a teacher in a classroom you say, oh, I can't get to YouTube. And the student may be using their mobile device to use a VPN, and they can access the school network through YouTube, through a virtual private network to get to YouTube. Of course, what the kids might be doing now is if their mobile device has a SIM card with 3G, they negate the school network completely and go straight up to YouTube and get what they want. So administrators worldwide, if any of you listen to this, the genie is out of the bottle already. So let's not think too much about the technical issues of filtering. Let's think about the education issues of filtering. Was I going to mention anything else here? I think in principle, that's it. So the trick is, how do you find these VPN servers here? These VPN servers. Let me look at that. Oh, before I do that, I use this particular app because I'm trying to model apps as well as just talk about them. Peggy, it's a good one. You know, it's most schools I go into, they say, sorry, we blocked this. I switch my VPN on. And I have to say, VPN is also on my laptops and my desktop. It's on all my machines. It's on my iPhone. It's on everything. So education rather than technology. Let me just show you this app, I think. But I think the connectivity will mean that you can't do what I'm about to show you. Let me go back to, what does that do? That clears the sketch. I don't want to do that. Let me go back to the gallery. It's now saving it. I'm only hesitating. I'm trying to go slowly so that the images keep up with what I'm saying. You notice the image got a little bit smaller, but if you notice on the bottom of the screen, there's a play button. And if I press that play button, and the connectivity will not keep up with this, I'm sure. If I press the play button, it's now replaying everything I drew. I bet that's too fast for your machines, right? I bet it's going bananas on your screen. Okay, so that's another plus to this particular app. So that could be useful. If you were a Chinese language teacher, for example, where you had to draw Chinese characters, the way you draw the characters is important. You draw the bit along the top, the bit down the bottom, and the cross there. The order of drawing the characters is important. You could ask a child to draw a character here and replay it so you can see again how they drew the character. Did they go left to right when they should have gone right to left? Okay, that was just another small sideline there, throwaway line. Now let me explain how in practice to do VPN. I'm going back to my photo table, and I have actually I have a lot of albums here. You may be able to see. Actually, the nice thing with these albums, you just throw pictures in there. And whenever I'm asked, what one trick should you learn with the iPad or the iPhone, what one skill should you learn, without any shadow of a doubt, it's taking a screenshot. Because taking a screenshot on these devices is so easy. And when you take a screenshot, of course it goes in the photo stream or whatever it's called in here, the list of photos, and then you can just suck it into one of these tables. Janita, you should have strapped her to the chair and sat her in front of this. Can somebody put into chat how to do a screen shot, because doing a screenshot on an iPad or an iPhone or on a, it's different how to do it on an Android device, but is brilliant. Right, VPN. Okay, let's look at some of my VPN slides. Simon, thanks. Power button plus home button. Although you have to practice a bit, because the order and how long you keep your finger on the button is a little bit of a skill. So let me start here. So virtual private network. Oh, how did I create this slide? Let me show you that. You go in my toolbox. I have a free app here. The top row, the middle app, it's called Large Type. It's free. It's free, and I'm not going to demonstrate it because you download it. You press it, one line comes up on the screen, you type in there, press go, and it then creates very big text on your screen, like that. And then you do a screenshot. So it goes into your photo stream. So let me just go here. Oh, that's just Pandora, in case I couldn't connect, but I could. But you know about Pandora. This is just the BBC iPlayer, which I'm getting. And I have a good connection now, actually a fairly good connection. So streaming video is very good. That's the BBC iPlayer's radio page. So if you want to follow Merlin, the TV series, you could watch it there. Run your VPN. Now, if you do a search on Google for VPN in images, you get all these complicated diagrams, and I much prefer the one I did when I was writing it. It can be really techy. You don't want to go there. Stay with something similar like the one I did. It's enough. But as a reminder, if you have a laptop and you go into a coffee shop and you connect to their internet, if when you do that you switch on VPN, the chances of you being hacked are almost zero. It's very, very secure. Not only is it going through firewalls, it's also encrypted, and so it's much, much safer. If you're in a public environment at an airport and you connect into the airport Wi-Fi, if you've got VPN, switch it on. It might be a little bit slower, but usually it's okay, especially if you're only checking email and stuff like that. So there's lots of really complicated diagrams there. Here was the simplest one I found, and that's using the proper terminology. I'm a bit sloppy sometimes. So the VPN client is you with your laptop. The connection to the VPN server might be in, but they've said it's University of Basel. I don't know why they chose that. But it's showing that there's a tunnel there, and it goes straight through the firewall. And then, well, the world's your oyster. Now, I know none of you would do this, but if you were torrenting illegal, I read about this in the book, it's not from my own experience. If you were torrenting illegal films or TV programs, if you're BitTorrenting, and that's a good skill to have, illegal stuff, then if you're doing it with VPN switched on, it means the chance of you getting caught by your internet service provider or anybody else is minimal. Not impossible, it's minimal. Because in this diagram, the University of Basel there, if their computer is keeping a record, then somebody could ask for those records. In fact, when you subscribe to a VPN service, then one of the things to ask them is, are you keeping a record of everything I do? Some do, and some don't. I have an area on Shambles, which is called Filter Plus. Wait, cup of tea. Let me have a sip of my cup of tea. Okay, my brain catches up with my mouth. I have an area on the shambles.net website called Filter Busters and VPN. It's one of the most visited pages. And on there, it has a list of free VPN services. I'm going to recommend one to you in a minute, but there are lots of free ones, but sometimes you need to be a bit techy. And we've seen this screen already for real. Of course, I demonstrated it at the beginning. And all of these down here on the right-hand side, it says Witopia. Witopia is the VPN service that I'm going to recommend. I have no link to them. I don't get any money from it. It's just that I feel they're developing all of the time. And I'll illustrate that with an example. If you're an international school teacher, then it's very useful to have a VPN if you're traveling around, because a number of different countries block you, and China's a biggie. China is in fact, at the moment, because of the changeover in power, some friends there have said that they've even got stricter in China over the last month because of this, new head of the Communist Party that's, for some reason, it's even more difficult. And it's a continual battle on getting through the Great Firewall of China. And Witopia is interesting because if China does block the Witopia service, Witopia just sets up another server somewhere and then gives you access through their server. But it's a paid-for service. More about Witopia in a second. And all of these things here I've had to set up, but Witopia tells you, they hold you by the hand and takes you through how to set them up on your iDevice or on your laptop, on your Windows or your Mac machine. And we've seen that. I'm going to go quickly. Okay, here's the Witopia page. I'm going to recommend them, but they're not free. But if you were traveling, especially a lot in Asia, and you were getting stuck behind firewalls, or remember, the other reason is you want a secure connection so that it's less likely anybody's going to hack you, then I like Witopia, because what they do is they have servers in dozens of cities around the world. And they have a list on their website. What's brilliant is in the bottom right-hand corner is a 24/7 helpline. And I must admit, I get lazy sometimes. When I've set up a machine for somebody else, the instructions are somewhere on the Witopia website. I'll press the help button in the bottom right-hand corner. A real-life person comes up, and only in chat, not video. It says, "Hi, what's your account number? What's your problem?" And they'll tell you. And I've even got in touch with the help service and said, "Excuse me, where's the help page on configuring an iPad?" And they give me the URL. That's really lazy. I should search for it. But Witopia isn't free. I love that line from them now. Witopia isn't free. It's somewhere between $50 and $60 a year. Now that sounds a lot, but oh, thanks, Peggy. That covers all of my machines, my phones, my tablets, my desktops, my laptops. Actually, a year ago, Witopia was actually a real headache to install on a laptop. Now, once you've signed up and you've got an account, you go to your account page and there's a button which says, "Would you like to install on your laptop?" You press it, it downloads something, you run it, and it does everything for you. There's nothing techie to do at all. A year ago, trust me, a year ago you didn't want to do it. You'd have got a headache. I think I might stop there. Any questions about VPNs? Because that's taken a lot. In fact, that's taken the session, really. Anything else about VPNs? Have I put you all to sleep? Peggy, do you need a VPN service to access what? No, Witopia is just a normal website. You just go to Witopia. Was it Witopia.net? Yes, Witopia. Oh yeah, Peggy, you put it up there. Witopia.net. Well, what you need to do, Mandy, you need to still have a connection to the internet in some way. So you need to have a 3G connection, or you need to have a Wi-Fi to connect. So the VPN isn't the actual connection itself, you have to already be connected to the internet by some way. Once you're connected, then you switch VPN, and you know that your connection is going to be much more secure. And also it means that if you wanted to download iffy stuff without being caught, you would less likely to be caught. And I hope the police aren't listening to this. And but also, if there's any firewalls blocking you, try it. Well, in the school. Oh, I know what I should mention. The free one. If I was going to mention a free one, there is a service called. Look at that! You'd smile if you could see me. I just pressed the screen of my MacBook Pro to get a cursor in the chat box. Is anybody else doing that? Pressing the screen of your laptops to see and wonder why it doesn't work. OpenVPN is, I would recommend, they're the one to look at. Just Google OpenVPN and you'll go to their website and they'll give you instructions, and that's a free option. They've tried to make it as easy as possible. You need a little bit of techie stuff, but not much. Just follow the instructions. Yeah, Mandy, it's really weird. I keep touching laptop screens now and wonder why it's not working. Oh, with SketchTime, you can't save the video. I thought you could on the top right-hand corner somewhere. Okay. Actually, saving video would be screencasting, and we're so spoiled with screencasting apps. I've still got 4 minutes left before Anne puts me off. Otherwise, I'll put that picture of her up on that bodybuilding one. Screencasting. We're 1,400 apps. Screencasting. These are my screencasting apps. If you actually wanted to do, if I'd have wanted to do a video and screencast, I'd have used one of these. And some of them are free. Edu Creations, Explain Everything, Show Me. I think they're always free. We're spoiled. And actually, if you're PE staff, oh, Display Record is awesome, because Display Record is the only one of that's there listed. It's the one on the right on the second row. Display Recorder is the only app that allows you to screencast across your iPad in different apps. So you can go to different places on your iPad and record what's going on. It's the only one. Actually, the only downside is if you go to something and screencast it on your iPad, and that something uses audio, it breaks Display Recorder. Trent, I could not live without Evernote. Okay, let me use one of, oh, before I leave this page, if your PE staff doesn't know about Coach's Eye, top row on the right, which allows you to take images of, say, somebody serving in tennis. You can take a video of somebody serving, replay it, annotate it for sports and physical education teachers. A must. If you want to sell your PE teacher on mobile devices, use Coach's Eye. And, okay, I'm going to finish on one more thing. Yes?
No, but Chris, we've lost your screen. Yeah. Are you still app sharing? Can you just go back and do that bit again, please? We're just back on the whiteboard. But if people are willing to wait another 5 minutes, I don't know if people are willing just another 5 minutes, Chris. We'd probably love to hear a few more of, you know, some of your favourite apps. Peggy is, she's up now.
Actually, my screen. Okay. Let me try again then. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, just go back to what you did before.
And sharing time.
And I'll just put the timer on for 10 minutes, and if people want to go, please go. And while you're doing that, Chris, it's certainly been a great session with lots of interest shown there in the chat. So we've still got some questions rolling in a minute too. So I've put the timer on for 10 minutes and we'll finish then, okay. Chris.
What's your favorite app for transferring video? Okay. I have favorites. So now, Evernote was mentioned just now, and this is a folder called Data Transfer. Can you see my screen now? Is it back?
So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm such an Evernote fanboy. You know, so much so that I pay for the premium version. Actually, most of what I use is from the free version anyway, but I pay for the premium version because I think the guys deserve the money. It's an amazing thing. But actually, I think just above Evernote, I would put Dropbox, because Dropbox, which is file sharing, all these people that are writing apps on iOS devices seem to be linking to Dropbox. So what's your favorite app for transferring videos from the camera roll? About 6 to 8 weeks ago, Dropbox suddenly said, excuse me, we've just updated ourselves, and what we'd like to do is give you some extra free space, and providing you use it for uploading everything that you take with your camera on your iPad to Dropbox. Now, when I first saw that, I thought, yes, you know, stuff that, I'm not going to do that, because that's a bit of marketing to get me to start using Dropbox more, and I'll run out of space and have to give you money. But I've changed my mind. I've done a 180 degrees turn there, because so now whenever I take a video or a still shot with my camera, with the native apps, and it goes into the camera roll, it then goes up into Dropbox. And as soon as it's in this Dropbox folder, I can't remember the name they create. They call it camera something. I can't remember. But as soon as it's in Dropbox, of course, it's on every device, on every laptop, on every desktop, on every iOS device, and Android as well. And also, I don't know if you realize it, which is really a silly thing to say. Of course I don't. But every Dropbox folder is actually public. Now that's frightening when you think about it. Every Dropbox folder has a unique URL which enables anybody to access that folder. Now the URL is a pretty long, complicated URL. You would never guess it. You would never find it in public. You'd have to give it to somebody. And so anything you put in a Dropbox folder, you can give people that URL. You can only find that URL by actually going to your account in a web browser. So you go to Dropbox.com, sign in, go to your folder, right-click, I think it is, and somewhere there it will say URL of this folder. And then to make it easier for, if I'm in a workshop for people to copy, I usually just do a short URL of it in Google or Bitly. So without any shadow, and some of you said this already, I think every teacher in the world should have Dropbox and Evernote as productivity apps and as communication apps. And I think, and I'm going to stop on that unless there's any specific questions, other specific questions. Joe, what's your favorite at the moment? Or anything
well, I've just been playing around with Drop It To Me, which I really like, because I found that it can be a bit of an issue trying to get big files like videos from the camera roll. Photos is fine. I use photo transfer, Wi-Fi photo transfer, which works really well. And I've been playing around with Dropler, D-R-O-P-L-R, which I see you're a fan of as well. Which when you upload to Dropler, either from the app or open in the app in Dropler, upload it, or when you use the desktop version, it automatically copies URL to your clipboard, and so it's really easy for making QR codes. So I think that's really fantastic. Another app which I came across recently, which I really like for recording and editing sound, is called Recorder Plus HD. Which allows you to record and edit audio. There aren't that many apps out there that allow you to edit as well. I've been promoting Hokusai, H-O-K-U-S-A-I, for ages, but I actually find the editing tools better in this Recorder Plus. There is a free version, but you can only record and edit up to 30 seconds, which is a bit of a waste of time. Whereas if you pay £1.99, you get the unlimited version. And I just really like the way with the sliders for editing, it works like a dream. So anyone interested in this, I'd really recommend it.
Joe, can you throw those names into the chat so we can see them? Actually, there's one there. Can you see on my screen? I've got a data transfer too. Can you see there's a yellow one called Chirp, C-H-R-I-P? That's rather unique. Chirp enables you to, you want to share a file with everybody in the room. You go to Chirp and you say upload, and it uploads the file to the cloud, and then it makes a noise. And if all the other machines in the room have got Chirp on, so it does this squeaking, it goes something. Well, that's not a very good impression, but it does some noise like that, and the noise then sends the URL to the cloud location to all the other machines in the room. It's really weird. There's a wonderful video to look at for that one. But Anne, I think we should stop there so we don't go over too long.
Well, Chris, I think we're just going to have to get you back again. We would love, well, how many apps do you think we saw of your 1,400? A dozen? Anyway, so interesting, Chris.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You are such a pro with demonstrating the iPad. It just, you wouldn't even believe it's an iPad screen that's being reflected through Blackboard Collaborate, so that's great. Now, we didn't tell you, we'd love people to quickly put their hands up, please. So if you could raise your hands. Thanks, Liz, for coming, and thanks for staying over time. What we didn't tell you, Trent has, well, Trent, do you want to grab the microphone and just explain what you have for people tonight? Okay, Trent has no mic. First of all, I would really like to thank Chris, so let's give him a round of applause. Amazing work, Chris, and thank you so much for sharing your vast knowledge, and especially the iPad apps. There's so much interest being shown in them. Now, let me scroll up. Trent told me in the chat that he has 8 Apple vouchers, $10 Apple gift cards to give away to tonight's session. Now, I'm sorry, they're for Australian people only. They won't work unless we can get a VPN through that card. So we've gone through and chosen 6 people at least to get them. So first of all, Mick, you get one for your comment about Pandora early on in the show. So Trent, I hope you've got a record of this. Simon was the first to answer the screenshot question. How do you get that on an iPad? So Simon gets one. Peter, I think you were very brave to mention Androids in the chat when we were watching iPad apps. So Peter, will an Apple card be useful to you or not? You better just tell us in the chat. So Peter, at the moment you've got one. And then I think Unita deserves one. She's our most adventurous participant, apart from our overseas guest, because Unita's on a train and she's still got 3/4 of an hour to fill in. So the longer we go here, the less time she's got. So Unita, Liz is gone now, hasn't she? I really like to question what app could you not do without. So Liz will get one. Mandy, you were next with that question about getting the screenshot from an iPad, and you gave a lot more detail. Now, how many's that we've got? Trent, can you just put in the chat? So now I need to go for hands up. Sorry, Dottie, Joe. Kat, you would be the next one with a hand up because Simon and Peter already have a card. And I'm really sorry we can't give it to you overseas guests. Okay, so Kat gets one. Yeah.
And can I mention something?
Yeah.
This could be another topic in a webinar, but you can give it to people overseas because what they would do is they can actually create. They have to create an email address, but then using that email address, they can use your voucher to actually sign up for the Australian iTunes store. I actually do that with the US and the UK. All they need is an
Okay,
address
well,
in the US, in Australia.
Okay, well, I think you deserve it then, Chris. So if you're happy to have a card, we thank you very much for your presentation, and you know how to get round that. So, Trent, are you happy with that, Trent? Where's Trent's reply? Okay, looks like that's all right. So, again, thank you so much, Chris. Now, just to let you know, last week we had the Global Education Conference, and they had a lot of trouble with connectivity. So next week on December the 3rd, I hope it's the 3rd, I'm getting dates wrong all over the place. Sorry, it will be December the 5th. So who's fast enough to change my date on there? We've got EPUB with Craig Nelson and Dal Pabega, and they will talk about publishing electronically, etc. So yeah, thank you, it's the 5th. Thank you for that. So thank you very much again. Thank you for switching rooms so quickly for me. It's an amazing world we live in when we've got people across the globe in one session being able to switch rooms with 5 or 10 minutes notice. And Chris, I can't believe your internet access is good enough to be able to do what you did. So fabulous work. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll leave the room open for another 5 minutes. So you've got 5 minutes to quickly ask a question or save the chat or whatever you need to do. So thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I hope you sleep well. I hope you go back to sleep, Dottie and Peggy. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.